Today I will be showing you this amazing strategy that gives a lot of winning signals. This strategy made a 90% win rate within a short period of time. You really need to apply this strategy on your trading arsenal, as the high win rate is easy to achieve. I will backtest it 200 times with an initial account size of $1,000. The take profit level is at 1.2 times the risk, which makes it an easy target to hit. Make sure you watch till the end to fully understand the strategy, as there are a lot of errors to avoid when trading live, and I explained all in the video. Without wasting much of the time, let's dive into it. Okay, we are looking at the British Pounds United States dollar, and this is the 5 minutes time frame. For this strategy we will be using 3 indicators, so let us quickly go over the strategy. But first, let me quickly show you the indicators that we are using for this strategy, and for the settings, we will be revealing that later in the video. The first indicator on our chart is the super trend indicator on the technical section. We will be using 2 of these indicators with different settings, as they will be confirming our trade entry points and possible exits. The third indicator is the Hull moving average, which is the general trend signal indicator, as we would be using it to determine the direction of the market. Personally, sometimes I prefer the Hull moving average to any other moving average because it attempts to remove lag in its entirety, while simultaneously improving upon smoothing. So now we know why our chart looks like this and the indicators we are using. Let us quickly go over the strategy. For a sell signal to be valid, we would want to see the price close below our Hull moving average. Then we would want to see the 2 super trend colored in red. At this point, we would have to wait till we see a green moving average from the super trend below. Now, we only want one of this super trend to be in green, after the double red super trend present. At this point, we would want to wait for the next change in color to red on our second super trend, before we go ahead and enter a sell trade below the trigger candlestick. Our stop loss will be at the previous high, as our take profit will be 1.2 times the risk. Please note, as long as the 2 super trend doesn't turn to green, our sell entry signal still remains valid. That is to say, both super trend indicators should not change to green moving average while we waiting for our trigger candlestick. If it is a bit confusing, then don't worry, as we would be taking some live examples later in this video. So let's move along. Now before we go over to our buy entry, let me quickly show you the settings we applied on this indicators. Now for the first super trend, these are the settings for the input, and these are the settings for the style. For the second super trend, it is quite the same with the first super trend in its style settings, but some little adjustments were made on the inputs, so this is the input for the second super trend. And for the last indicator, these are the settings for the Hull moving average. Okay, now you are already equipped with the settings. Let us go over to the buy entry confirmation, before we do some live examples and then the back testing of the strategy at the end of the video. Now for a buy signal to be valid, the entry rules is exactly the opposite as the sell trade, as we would want to see the price be above the Hull moving average, and our 2 super trend indicator need to be colored in green, before we wait till our first super trend indicator changes to red, and we would open trade when it changes back to green, as that would be our trigger candlestick. Our stop loss and take profit levels remain the same, as we use the last swing low for our stop loss and 1.2 times the risk as our take profit level. Please note that when 2 of the super trend changes to red, and price is above the Hull moving average as we see here, we would not take the trade, as it goes against our trading rules. We would wait till our trading setup forms again before we enter trades. Please note that when price is above the Hull moving average, and we have 2 green super trend, we are in a bullish trend, as we would be taking trade when our setup is available. Now it doesn't matter if our conditions are met when price trades below the Hull moving average, as long as one of the super trend remains on red, while the other on green and our trigger candlestick happens above the Hull moving average, we would be taking the long entry position at the peak of our trigger candlestick. Please note that we wouldn't take this type of trade, as the two super trend were not colored in green before we got this double green super trend. Even though the price was above the Hull moving average, we only want our trade setups to be precise like we said, as they lead to high winning trades. Now let us go over some examples to make you better understand this strategy before we head over to back testing the strategy. Okay, here is a valid entry for a sell trade, as we see that price is below the Hull moving average, and we got our second super trend indicator below change to green, while the first super trend indicator is still on red. We had to wait till we got our entry signal at this candlestick, so we would be placing our sell order at the bottom of this trigger candlestick, and our stop loss will be at the recent swing low, as the take profit is 1.2 times the risk. Okay, so here is a sell trade we wouldn't have taken. We see that the price is below the Hull moving average, but the two super trend had its green moving average before we got the red moving average, so we won't be entering this trade as it's against our trading rules, even though it was a good trade. So don't be tempted to enter such trades as it leads to more of losses than winnings. So let's have this last example before we start our back testing. We see we are in a bullish trend over here, as the price is above the Hull moving average, and we then got an opportunity to enter a trade here, before we went ahead to open a buy trade at this point, at the peak of the trigger candlestick, which gave us nice profit. Okay guys, that's it. Let's go ahead and back test the strategy with an account size of $1,000, and our back test would cover 200 trades. Let's get on with it. So we just finished the back testing for this strategy, and we can see that the results are amazing. We had a win rate of 90% in 200 back tested trades, having won 181 trades and lost just 19 trades, which made us 198% return on investment. And I found those wonderful trade setups within 3 months, although commissions and spread fees would eat up some of the profit in real trading, because it was not included in the back test. So you definitely want to expect that number to be lower when trading live. The profit factor for this strategy is looking good, I guess, and we had 12 wins in a row against just 2 losses in a row. So yeah, I'm definitely happy with these results. Okay traders, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.